know Paul Geddes, but some people think that I started this seminar, but really without Paul Geddes, nothing ever would have started. He helped me start this seminar. It was his email list, and even today, a lot of people here are actually his contacts. So I truly thank Paul for his huge contribution to starting this seminar. Now, despite the fact that I'm not a politician and I don't like political activism, Paul Geddes is actually the backbone of libertarian groups in Vancouver. He runs, I don't know if he still runs the Libertarian Party here or not, but he is very closely associated with it. Just wanted to let you know that on the 13th of August, there is a barbecue at his place. So anyone who wants to attend, maybe you can talk with him and get some more information. Okay. And finally, there's thanks, Paul. Finally, there's a survey form on your table. I truly appreciate if you could fill it up. It helps me and helps us, all of us, a lot in deciding what we do next year. Thank you. So, Butler will introduce Walter Block.
What is that say?
I have known Walter Block for many, many years before I first met him. And that may sound a little strange to some of you who have heard my presentation on the origins of the whole quote, libertarian movement. I kind of got into this, kicking around the ideas back in the late 50s. And there was a time when those of us who were interested in these speculations, and that's kind of what it was. We were playing around with ideas that we probably picked up from a variety of sources. We didn't know what to call ourselves. Libertarians, anarchists, individualists, conservatives, objectivists, what are we doing? But there was a group that we sort of a self-selected group that kind of became attracted to a consistent set of ideas. And I don't know how many there were, 20, 25 of us. We knew of each other, even though we hadn't met each other. I might be getting ready to go take a trip to Detroit, and someone said, "Oh, when you're in Detroit, be sure and look up Joe Schlock." And I said, "Who's Joe Schlock?" I said, "He's a libertarian." We've got a libertarian in Detroit? Holy Toledo, what does that mean? We're really moving. Well, this is the time when Rothbard had said that all the people who shared these, what we would now call libertarian ideas, could have met in his apartment in New York. He was not exaggerating. That was true. And now we see people who, all over the place, coming from all different sources. Walter was one of those people who not only couldn't fit in Murray's apartment, but did on many occasions. And it's always fun to kind of acknowledge people that you knew about before you actually met them. Walter is, I've kind of considered him the reincarnation of Jonathan Swift. You remember the essay on Malamata's proposal, where he suggested that we might, poor people might provide children for the rich people to eat. And it was that's the kind of thing Walter would have written if he'd been around at that point in time. Not supposed to advocate that, but the idea that we need to take some of these ideas and really explore them. Where do they lead? It's easy to say, well, I'm a voluntarist. I accept that. I think that's a great way of putting it. But what does that mean? Private property. Do we get to own other people? Why not? Well, anyway. Walter is great at asking the kinds of questions that get under your skin and should stay there because that's where your own thinking develops. So.
Thanks for the kind introduction. I wanted to add my thanks to Paul Geddes, who is pretty much, in my view, the leader of the British Columbia Libertarians. Whether he's officially that or not, he is the source behind most of the activity that occurs here. Can I be heard in the back? Am I okay? I wanted to mention the Real Sons of Anarchy event this afternoon, starting at 4 o'clock. The first speaker is Taylor Singleton Fuchs on Bitcoin at 5 o'clock. Adam Pazienza on the spirituality of anarchism. Victor Prost, the artist, on the collectivist intellectuals. I hope he takes my view on collectivism. Dan Dix on the art of the Socratic method. I will then speak along with Michael Edelstein. Michael Edelstein will be speaking on further information on REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. I'll be speaking on 2 of my books, Defending the Undefendable 1 and Defending the Undefendable 2. The meeting will take place starting at 4 o'clock at Yuck Yucks, which is 2837 Canby on the corner of 12th Avenue. $10. So please, if you're in town, come on down and join us. Okay, my talk today is on stereotypes, racism, and sexism. I have a book out on that as well. I've got a book out on most things. I've got 22 books, and I'll keep on going. This one is The Case for Discrimination, racial and sexual. But first, let me start off with stereotypes. What's going on with stereotypes? Well, stereotypes are just empirical generalizations. Men are taller than women, on average. I'm 5'7", there are women who are 6'5", there are women that are taller than men, but on average, men are taller than women. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being a stereotyper? I forget whether in these 2 books on Defending the Undefendable, I forget if I've got the stereotyper, but if not, I'll put them in Defending 3, which I'm working on now. Men are stronger than women on average. There are women who can throw the shot put and throw me further than I can throw a shot put. But on average, men are stronger and taller than women. That's a stereotype. There are 2 parts of the scientific method. One is induction, the other is deduction. What is stereotyping? Induction. So if you're against stereotyping, you're against half of the scientific method. Now these stereotypes that I've just mentioned, that men are taller and stronger than women, most people would not disagree with that, and if I said that in a politically correct audience, nobody would say, oh my God, look what he said. But there are other stereotypes that are very, very problematic or not politically correct, especially any stereotype that puts blacks or women in a bad light. For example, if you say white men can't jump, which is the title of the book, and black men can jump better than white men, that's okay. Or if you say black men are better marathon runners than white men. I mean, you look at the marathon and the first 15 guys are all black. Look at the 100-yard dash in the Olympics coming up. There'll be no whites in the final. I think there was 1 white in a final of the 100-yard or 100-meter dash. 1 in the last, 5 or 6 Olympics. It's all black. On the other hand, if you say blacks have a lower IQ than whites, my God, what did he say? You can't say that. And yet it's equally true. But that empirical generalization is somehow politically incorrect, and we're not supposed to say it. But if we want to be scientific about it, and we're not afraid of the truth, well, the truth is the truth. You have to let the chips fall where they may if you want to have a scientific outlook. Okay, so much for stereotypes. I now want to talk a little bit about female I shouldn't say female problems. Female issues. One issue is why is it that we have a wage gap between males and females? Why is it that men earn, for every dollar a man earns, women earn about 70 cents? Why is that? And there are 2 hypotheses. One, capitalism is evil, capitalism is discriminatory, capitalism denigrates women, and therefore the government's got to step in and make this thing right because it's unjust. Because even for the same work, women make less money than men. Okay, That's one hypothesis. The one hypothesis is that capitalism is unfair and it denigrates women, and that's why they make less money. The correct hypothesis is a thing called the marital asymmetry hypothesis. Marital asymmetry hypothesis. But before I get into it, I have to mention a thing in economics called opportunity cost or alternative cost. Whenever you do anything, you do it at the cost of not being able to do something else as well as you otherwise might have been able to do it if you didn't do the first thing. I said that pretty quickly, so let me give some examples. Yo-Yo Ma is the best cellist on the planet, give or take. He's probably a lousy quarter-mile runner because I don't know his time in the quarter mile, but I assume it's pretty lousy compared to what it would have been had he not been playing the cello all day and had practiced the quarter mile. Because if you want to be a magnificent cellist, you have to play the cello 6 hours a day and then another 4 hours on music theory or whatever it is. And if you want to be a good quarter miler, you have to get out on the track, you have to get in the gym and lift weights or do sit-ups or whatever it is to make a quarter miler. What's his name? Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is the fastest runner. He does 100 meters in like 9.5, which, I mean, they ought to give him a speeding ticket for going that fast. He's just amazing. But he's probably a lousy cellist. And I don't know what kind of a cellist he is, but I assume he's not as good a cellist as he would be if he played the cello a little bit. But he doesn't. He just sticks to the track and the gym and stuff like that. So as a general economic principle, whenever you do anything, you do it at the cost of not being able to do something else or not being able to do something else as well as you otherwise would have been able to do it. You people are all here. You could have been, I don't know what, swimming, biking, eating, sleeping, whatever it is. In other words, you're being here, there was out-of-pocket costs, but then there are also opportunity costs. Okay, so we're clear on opportunity costs. Now let me take a survey. And I'm going to offer you some choices. If you're married, answer in terms of the marriage that you have. And if you're not married, answer in terms of the marriage with which you're most familiar, presumably your parents' marriage or your previous marriage before you were divorced or whatever it is. And I'm going to give you three choices. The husband does more housework than the wife. The husband does an equal amount of housework as the wife. Well, the husband does less housework than the wife. And what is housework? Well, cooking, cleaning, shopping, taking care of children, diapering babies, housework. Okay, so how many say that the husband does more housework than the wife? Bunch of liars over there. 3. The reason I say liars is because, well, I shouldn't say liars. Some of them are friends of mine who raise their hand, but when sociologists take surveys of this, they get very, very few people say that. Second, housework is equal between the husband and wife. It doesn't have to be 50-50, it could be 40-60, 55-45, just sort of roughly. Another bunch of liars. And how many say that the husband does less housework than the wife? Okay, finally, truth tellers. I didn't count the numbers, but this would be roughly, isn't that a roughly accurate assessment of, I mean, well, maybe more, maybe 50, I don't know, more. The point is, housework, when you do housework, it's an alternative cost. You have to do something else less well than you would otherwise been able to do had you not been doing the housework. So you're going to be a worse cellist, you're going to be a worse runner, and you're going to be worse at earning money in the market. That is a very, very powerful explanation of why it is that women earn less than men. And I have 2 proofs or 2 bits of evidence about this. One, when you take the 70%, what you have there is the salary of females compared to the salary of males equals 0.7. It changes, sometimes 0.75, sometimes 0.8, sometimes 0.6, but on average it's 0.7. If you take, if you break this group down and you have, so this is all. If you take the never marrieds and the ever marrieds, so what's the difference first between an ever married and a never married?
A never married person is someone who's never been married. Not married, not widowed, not divorced, not anything to do with marriage. That's a never married person. And what's an ever married person? Ever married person is you've ever been married. You're now married, or you're widowed, or you're divorced, or you're separated, or something that the institution of marriage touched you. Well, when you take that, here you get 1.0, and here you get something like 0.4. Namely, the reason for the 0.7, and these numbers are just off the cuff. I've done research on this when I was at Fraser Institute. I wrote a book on that. These numbers are roughly right. You never get 1.0. Whenever you do empirical research, you get noise. The ratio is somewhere between 0.9 and 1.1. Namely, sometimes women make more than men, sometimes men make more than women. On average, it's about 1.0. Namely, there's no wage gap. So the wage gap, to a great degree, is a result of the fact of marriage. That's why we call it the marital asymmetry hypothesis. That when you're married, women's wages go down because they're busy doing other things. It's not that women are inferior in productivity, and productivity is what determines wages. Let me just say a word about that. Suppose your productivity is $10 an hour, and suppose your wage is $5 an hour. What are you going to do if you're an entrepreneur? You're an entrepreneur, what would you do? You're an employer, and women's wages are 5, but somebody's wage is 5, and their productivity is 10. What would you offer this person? 501. 501 means you want to maximize profits, right? And you want to get a person like that because profit is the difference between productivity and wage, and profit now is $5. So you make a profit of $5 off for hiring this person, but it can't last. This is only a tentative kind of thing, right? Someone's going to say 501, someone's going to say 502, if ever we went through this exercise. But the point is, the wage will be bid up to our productivity. On the other hand, if the wage is 15 and the productivity is 10, then the profit is -5. And what happens to you if you make too many -5 profits off of your workers? You go bankrupt. So this is the only, so we have a theory that wage tends to equal, well, marginal revenue productivity, but productivity for sure. Wages tend to equal productivity because they can't get too far out of line. Because if they get too far out of line, market forces will fix things so that wages tend toward productivity. Wages exactly productivity? No. They will be in equilibrium, but we're never in equilibrium, but we're always tending toward equilibrium. Sort of like you jump on a scale, I weigh 180 pounds, the scale goes to 300, goes down to 0, and it tends toward my weight. It's a good scale. That would be the equilibrium thing. And if I keep going like this, the thing will keep moving. That's what the marketplace is. You never get exactly there, but you always tend there. Okay, so this is one bit of evidence. Why is it? Well, if you get married and you have 3 kids, aged 2, 4, and 6, and you know the joke, 2 PhD physicists, chemists, whatever, they come home from work, and the husband says to the wife, "What's for dinner, dear?" It's supposed to be a joke. Joke, that's the joke. A feminist joke. Oh, it's a feminist fault. That's why the joke didn't go over too well. The point is that, it's sort of like when the economist tells a joke, you're supposed to laugh. It's sort of like if a bear rides a unicycle and plays the violin. You don't ask, is he in tune? You say, wow, a bear. Wow, the unicycle playing the violin. Magnificent. And when the economist tells a joke, you don't say whether it's funny or not. You say, wow, the economist told the joke. So anyway, the point is that if you and your husband, or you and your wife, you're 2 spouses, you both have a PhD in chemistry, but you have 3 kids, by the time you get back into full-time work, it's, I don't know, when the youngest one is 10 years old or something like that, and able to take care of himself, well, your human capital is atrophied to a great degree, so it's no wonder that your husband, even though he has equal qualities, will earn more money than you. And also this point 7 is a lot of nonsense because they take full-time workers, but men work more hours than women, so of course they're going to make more money than women. So if you start taking into account, incorporating this sort of a thing, the fact that women tend to go into industries where your human capital doesn't atrophy, like, you become an engineer and you're out of the engineering or IT market for 5 years or 10 years, you're not going to be doing as well as your spouse, your husband, who has been working full-time ever since. So these are reasons why ever marries make way less. But the never marries make about the same. And then you have a proxy for never marries, and that's age. Most people from 16 to 20 or 20 to 22 or something like that are never married. And the wage gap there for that cohort is very small. So the idea that the reason we have a wage gap is because of hatred of entrepreneurs for women, and most entrepreneurs and most businessmen are men, and therefore they hate women. I tell you, most of the men I know, they don't hate women. It's the very opposite. The heteros, anyway. Okay, so this is one bit of evidence showing that the wage gap is nonsense. Let me give you a little proof. And this is a rigorous Austrian-type proof. So here we have males, and here we have females, and here we have productivity, and here we have wage, and here we have profit, and we now have, assuming that males and females have equal productivity of $10, but in order to keep up with this 0.7, the man will make 10, the woman will make only 7. Right? That would be the equivalent for the 70%. Well, how much profit are you going to make? Here you make 0 profit off of men. Here you make $3 profit off of women. Is this sustainable? This is what the feminists ask us to believe, that somehow this is it. This is crazy. This is nonsense. You can't have an equilibrium like this where you make $3 off profit off a woman and nothing off a man. If I had a business, I'd start firing the men and hiring women, and so would everyone else. And also, the profits in industries that have women, more women would make more profit. But we know that profits tend to equalize in all industries in equilibrium. So that if you take an industry like, say, wood cutting, which is mainly male, and you take an industry like, teaching or library or something, which is disproportionately female, the ones hiring women would be more profitable, but that's also nonsense. Look, there is a case to say that in the 18th and the 17th century, men were more productive than women. Why? Because a lot of jobs took upper body strength. The way we would knock down a tree is by sawing it. The way we would dig a hole is with a shovel and a pick. Nowadays, the way you dig a hole to put in a foundation for a building is with a steam shovel. And women can, pull the levers just as well as men. So my understanding is that male and female productivity is roughly the same. It might be different by 1% or 2%. Okay, a century ago it might have been different, but not nowadays. So why do we have this difference? It couldn't be because of that. It's because of narrow asymmetry. Okay, now I want to get into more, how shall I say, a challenging view on the male-female business, and that is the glass ceiling. What is a glass ceiling? A glass ceiling is that women can only get so far up the ladder, and they can't get any further because there's this glass ceiling. Women can become vice presidents. This is the big attraction of Hillary possibly becoming our next president. She will break the glass ceiling. So why do we have a glass ceiling? The reason we have a glass ceiling is because of a thing called sociobiology. Well, what's sociobiology? Sociobiology is the view that we are the way we are now because of what it took to live 1 million years ago when we were in the caves of the trees, and that, to a great degree, determines how we are now. For example, how many people are afraid of bathtubs? That's so, I'm not afraid of a bathtub. How many people are afraid of snakes? I'm afraid of snakes. I mean, if I saw a big snake, I would, try to dash it or something like that. And yet, bathtubs kill many more people than snakes nowadays. So why are we afraid of snakes and not bathtubs? And the reason is that when we're in the caves or the trees, if you were afraid of bathtubs, it gave you no advantage in leaving your genetic code to the next generation, because there were no bathtubs. On the other hand, if you weren't afraid of snakes and you go up and pat a snake and say, are you a friendly snake or not, you probably didn't leave too many children into the next generation. We are descended from people who were afraid of snakes. That's why we're afraid of snakes. We're not descended from people who were afraid of bathtubs. There were no such. That's why we're not afraid of bathtubs. And yet, bathtubs kill more people than snakes. Milton Friedman died of a bathtub. He was elderly, 95 or so, and he slipped in the bathtub, hit his head, and on the way to the hospital he died. He was killed by a bathtub. And yet he wasn't afraid of it because of this sociobiology stuff. Okay, so why is it that we have a glass ceiling? The reason we have a glass ceiling is I'm going to give you another diagram, and here I'm going to call good, and this I'm going to call bad. This is a function or a number of people, and what we have is a normal curve. And here's the normal curve for females, and here's the normal curve for males. And I'll explain why it had to be this way sociobiologically, but first let me acquaint you with what's going on. So what do I mean by good? Well, when we get out to the good area, and by the way, male and female have the same average ability. What do I mean by good? Well, if you look at how many grandmasters there are in chess, 500 grandmasters, how many females are there that are grandmasters in chess? It used to be that there was one. And then the Polgar sisters came along, and they were magnificent chess players. And the worst of the three sisters is the 400th ranked chess player. The middle one is 200, and the best one, Judith Polgar, is ranked 50th, which is amazing. All the rest are male. Why? Well, because in order to be a good chess player, you have to be several standard deviations above the mean in chess. Another example is presidents of countries. In order to be a president of a country, you have to have something. I mean, not everybody becomes president or prime minister. Well, how many presidents have there been who were women? Margaret Thatcher, Golda Meir, Indira Gandhi, Merkel. There's a handful. But this is over all of the last 500 years. And we're having trouble filling 2 hands worth of that. The same thing with PhDs. Not PhDs in crappy subjects like poetry, or God knows what the criteria is. I'm talking about real PhDs in, well, not math, because they have the fields now, but it's the same thing. In chemistry, in medicine, and all these things. You had Madame Curie, and we just had, what's her name, Ostrom in economics. But they're the only ones. Everywhere else, what you find is 10 times as many men as women out in the good area. Now let's look at the bad area. What's the bad area? Prisons. You go to prison, that's the bad area, low IQ, or people who are just armed with it. And what do you see in prisons? Very, very few women. Yes, there's Lizzie Borden, she killed someone with an axe, but very, very few women. Most people in prison are men. Go to a mental institution. What's happening in a mental institution? It's virtually all men. Go to a cemetery. Now, obviously, there's an equal number of people, but look on the gravestones and see who lives to, 410, 70 years old or more. And forget about the fact that years ago, it used to be that there were a lot of young women who died before their time because of childbirth. But nowadays, very, very few women die of childbirth. Who is in prison going before their time? It's all men. Okay, there's one woman or two or maybe victims, but it's men. So what I'm saying is that the reason we have a glass ceiling is because even though men and women are equal on average, men out here in 4 standard deviations above the mean are many of them, whereas over here, men are also called 4 standard deviations below the mean. Look, does this mean that I tell my young female students not to try? No. I have a daughter, Hannah, very, very bright girl. She was the valedictorian of her high school, and she got all A's at UBC, except for one art class that gave her a B or something. She has a PhD in neuroscience. She's a professor of neuroscience. But But as she goes up the ladder, there'll be more and more men that she'll be competing with. Look, I hope she gets a Nobel Prize, and I would certainly encourage her, and I have encouraged her. So it's not a matter of discouraging women and encouraging men or anything like that to sort of overcome the lecture we heard yesterday about boys being targeted. So the point is, the reason we have a glass ceiling is because of biology. So why is it this way? Why shouldn't I reverse it? Why is it that females are God's or nature's insurance policy, and why is it that men are God's crapshoot? Or men are God's crapshoot. You have a boy, and you don't know what you're going to get, a criminal or a genius. Whereas with women, you very rarely get a criminal, you very rarely, but sometimes get a genius, but they're all sort of clumped toward the middle. Why are they God's or nature's insurance policy, and men are the crapshoot? The reason is sociobiology. Suppose it was reversed. Suppose we cross this out and put females here and males here. And suppose, now the blue is us. These are our people. We are descended from the blue people. We're now making a hypothetical group of humanoids or people like us that have the same opposable thumb, the same brain, the same strength, the same everything. It's just that they were like that. Why were we able to outcompete them, or our great-great-parents able to outcompete these guys? Well, how many eggs does a woman have? Well, if you start at, I don't know, 15 and you go to 45, that's 30 years times 12, 360. How many sperm does a man have? Lots more. What's his name, the basketball player that Music talked about, Will Chamberlain? He bragged that he went to bed with 20,000 different women. He might have had 1,000 kids. How many women can have 1,000 kids? Nobody. The Hasidic and the Mormon, 20 is about it. I mean, the woman has the limitation. So, our people, we have genius men who have a lot of kids, whereas they have very few men like that. They have a lot of women who are very smart, but the women can only have 10 or 15 kids, whereas the men can have 3,000 kids. So our blue people have an advantage over those red people if it was reversed. So if it ever was reversed, we beat them out biologically. Now let's look over here. Here you have also females, and here you have males. These females can get pregnant, but are they capable of taking care of children? No, they're too busy being in the historical jail or prison or homeless or whatever it is that's bad. So we have an advantage over them because of biology. So that's why this is necessary. That's why you can't change things. Education isn't going to change anything anyway. That education is all miseducated because they don't understand biology or sociobiology. So to summarize this section, the reason men get through the glass ceiling is that you've got a significant number of them are bloody geniuses. By the way, the whites have a thing like this, whereas Orientals are much smarter on average, but they're narrower. They have a smaller standard deviation or a smaller variance, so there are very few Orientals way out there, which is one advantage that whites have over Orientals. Now I know that this is racist and evil, but what the heck? We're just chickens here. We're just talking about the knowledge. I might be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'd like to see somebody, show me my mistakes. But the point is that in today's politically correct vision, you're not even allowed to talk about this stuff. And what kind of a university do you have when you have to have a safe space and a trigger warning and all that stuff before you can even talk about anything like this? But, we economists, social scientists, we want to understand and explain reality. Well, part of reality is the glass ceiling, and part of reality is the pay differential between men and women, and it behooves us to try to explain it. Well, here are my explanations. And I don't mind being wrong, but I do mind being told that I can't speak about it because this is evil. Okay, another point. What about, what is it? I've got a note here. Sexual harassment. Now, sexual harassment is supposed to be bad. And a low rung in hell for the mainstream for sexual harassment is quid pro quo offers. What's a quid pro quo offer? I hire a female secretary, say, if you go to bed with me, you get, I'll keep you on the job. If you don't go to bed with me, I'll fire you. This is seen as heinous. Or I have students. God forbid I should tell a female student, if you want an A, here's my bedroom. I mean, that's despicable. But shouldn't there be a law against that? Well, not for libertarians, because libertarians have the non-aggression principle. And where is there a violation of non-aggression? Now, let's talk about fraud. If it was fraud, I hire a secretary and say, come work for me, and all of a sudden I pull this on, well, that's fraudulent. But suppose I'm open about it. I say, come work for me and come to bed with me. I want half prostitute and half secretary. Look, we want to legalize prostitution, don't we? Well, why can't we have half prostitute and half whatever? Or I'm starting a new university, Block University. And if you want to get an A, you have to go to bed with me. What libertarian law did I violate? None. No, I'm not going to get too many customers. And if anyone foolish enough to come to my school gets an A, I mean, what kind of credentials would she have? Which I don't know. She has to get the block, and she knows how to read. So what I'm trying to say is that there's nothing per se wrong with sexual harassment, or at least from a legal point of view. I guess it's despicable, it's personally obnoxious, but maybe then again, prostitution is too. I mean, I have a daughter, I have a sister, I have a wife. I wouldn't want any of them to be a prostitute. But I don't think that if they were, they should go to jail for it, because consenting adults, anything between consenting adults, including sexual harassment. Okay, I'm now going to switch gears, and instead of talking about females, I'm going to talk about black and white. Why do we have problems with blacks? Why are blacks overrepresented in jail? Why do we have the Black Lives Matter business? What's going on there? And why do blacks earn less money than whites? Well, it's the same diagram as I showed you before. I shouldn't have, some of these things you can turn over, I shouldn't have erased it, but it's the same exact diagram. Namely, here are blacks, here are whites, here is productivity, and here is 10 and 10, and here is wage, and we'll assume that the black wage is 7 and the white wage is 10, and here is profits, and here is 0 profits, and here is 3. So it's the same diagram as with women, right? And this is wrong. The reason that blacks are earning 70%, it's roughly the same. The black, white, and the male-female wage ratio is about the same. The gap is about 30%, give or take. Why is this? Well, the reason that black people are earning 7 is because their productivity is 7. And the 0 profits earned off of anyone in equilibrium. So now it comes to the question of why do black people have a low productivity? They certainly don't have a low productivity in basketball. By the way, shouldn't we have affirmative action for short, fat Jewish guys who can't and also for the followingly challenged? I mean, we need a subsidy. That's the only subsidy I favor. They're certainly productive in football and basketball, and Oprah Winfrey makes a lot of money, and black actors make a lot of money. But on average, they make less. Why? Well, the politically correct explanation is slavery. We had slavery, which hurt black productivity in many different ways. And it's a vestige of that, and it's Jim Crow and lynching and this and that and the other. Two of my favorite economists happen to be black, Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell, and they've made a career out of saying that this is nonsense. Because look, things were better in the 1930s and 1920s when we were closer to slavery. One of the reasons that Williams and Sowell say that we're doing so badly is because of the dissipation of the black family. There were no fathers in the black family. 75% of black kids are brought up in single mother-headed families, female-headed families. Whereas, look, slavery was not capable of undermining the black family. After slavery, the black family was roughly as intact as the white. There's this analogy: if you throw a frog into boiling water, its metabolism is such that it just jumps out. If you put a frog in cold water and heat it up slowly, its metabolism is such that it stays there. Slavery was like boiling water for the black family. Yes, it ruined the black family during slavery. The mother was sold here, the father was sold there. Of course, it breaks up the black family. But after slavery ended in 1865, you had ads in the papers, Mary Lou, where are you? This is Joe, what plantation are you in? My research shows that in the census of 1800 and 1910, the black family was just about as intact as the white family. The white family is a little bit better by a percent or two. So why is the black family falling apart? Why is it not just falling apart, but failing to start in the first place? Welfare. LBJ, the welfare system. Before LBJ in 1965, you always had welfare, but it was very penurious or niggardly. You're not supposed to use the word niggardly now, I think, but I'm going to use it anyway because it means something very different than the N-word, cheapskatey. Namely, it wasn't very generous. So it didn't break up the black family. Now, Charles Murray in his book, Losing Ground, said that once LBJ got in there with welfare, and the welfare was very heavy, very generous, but if you had a black husband in the house, then he had to go get a job. So if you wanted to get the money, he couldn't be there. And the government made an offer to the pregnant girl much better than the father of her child. And she married the state, according to this analysis, instead of marrying the father of her child. And it's not a black-white thing, because you have the same thing in Sweden, where there are very few black people. In Sweden, they're very generous with welfare, and the black family is fairly uniform there too. So one of the reasons why the black productivity is lower than the white productivity is because of the failure, because of the failure of the family. The family is very important. I hate to sound like a right-wing person. I'm not a right-wing, I'm not a conservative, but the family is very important. It's causally connected statistically with all sorts of indices of malfunction. People from non-intact families, especially young boys, are more likely to be criminal, more likely to get out of, the school, or not get into school. And this other thing about school is interesting. More young black boys are kicked out of school than white boys or Oriental girls. And this is somehow seen as no good. Well, the point is they're very obstreperous, and they prevent learning of anyone in those inner city schools. And Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell talk about in the 30s, when you had immediate justice, nightstick justice, you could go to Harlem. White people would go to Harlem and go to the shows, and there was no problem. But nowadays, if you have cops beating up people, instant justice, somehow it's no good. And the point that is made is that justice delayed is justice denied. If you're going to punish someone in 6 months, it means very little, especially the people out here. Whereas if you punish them right then and there, they behave better. So that's another reason for the disillusion. And yet another reason is IQ. Somehow the IQ is like the F word. You're not supposed to say IQ in polite society, especially on a university campus. But how do we decide who we allow into the freshman class in the university, SAT and ACT? Well, those are IQ tests. So somehow it's improper to even talk about those things, but those things are very important. Okay, a little bit about discrimination. This book is really on discrimination, so let me talk a little bit about discrimination. We libertarians have a thing called free association. Free association means you can associate with anyone you want as long as it's voluntary. Look, the problem with rape was there was no free association. The rape victim didn't want to associate with the rapist. The problem with slavery was no free association. Let me just spend a minute or two about my New York Times case with what we call slavery. The New York Times interviewed me 3 or 4 times for this hatchet job they were doing on Rand Paul at the time when it looked like he would be a service player. And I was trying to explain to them what libertarianism is, and they just weren't getting it. Either they weren't getting it because they were too stupid, or they weren't getting it because they got it and they wanted to pump me up or something. I don't know. I wish I had tape recorded that, but in any case, I was trying to explain it, and I couldn't succeed. And finally I said, look, why is slavery an abomination? Why is slavery an unmitigated evil? Because it violates the libertarian notion of free association. And I said, is slavery evil because of picking cotton? No, they can pick cotton. Nothing wrong with picking cotton. Is it slavery an abomination because they sang songs while they're picking cotton? No, people can sing songs, that's okay. Is it because they ate gruel or lived in a little shack? No. And then I could have said, is it because they were whipped? And again, the answer is no. It's not because they were whipped, because voluntary sadomasochists whip each other all the time. There's nothing wrong with whipping each other. If concerning adults, well, I shouldn't say nothing wrong, it's a little weird. But it shouldn't be illegal. So then why is it that slavery is an abomination? It's because it was coerced. They were forced into it and they couldn't quit. And I gave a hypothetical. I said, well, suppose they weren't forced into it and they could quit at any time, then slavery wouldn't be so bad. So these people quoted me as saying, Bloch said slavery wasn't so bad. Can you imagine? And then the president of my university and 17 professors have a group letter saying Bloch is evil because he thinks slavery wasn't so bad. So I'm suing him for libel. And you might ask, well, you know, I do have a chapter in this book that somehow libel is okay or should be legal because you don't own your reputation. So how can I justify suing him? I had to come up with something because I really wanted to sue. So it's a little fudging here. And what I came up with is ruling class theory, which is not a Marxist. Well, Marxists have a ruling class theory, but so do we. For the Marxists, the ruling class theory is the bourgeois is bad and the proletariat is good. For us, it's the crony capitalists that are bad and everyone else is good. And the New York Times, I tried in any case, is a crony capitalist organization. They're in league with the government or their mouthpiece. So anyway, the lower court dismissed my case with prejudice, which means that I have to pay the legal fees of the New York Times. And my lawyer suggested this to be about $150,000. But then we took it to the upper court. And the upper court, one of the judges there said the brilliant thing. Remember that thing that, what was that English guy who said democracy is the worst thing? Churchill. Churchill said democracy is the worst thing except for all the others. And what this judge said that the New York Times did to me would be like if a journalist went to Churchill and just quoted him as saying, democracy is the worst possible system, period, without the qualifier. So it's now back into the lower court, and I'm going back and forth with courts. But the New York Times did make me an offer. They said they'd let me out of my, have to pay for their expenses if I drop the suit. And my lawyer said this shows weakness on their part because they didn't have to do that. So maybe one of these days I'm going to kick the New York Times butt. And there's no newspaper that deserves it more. So I'm happy to do that. So now let's talk about free association. If you really believe in non-discrimination, you have to be a bisexual. Why? Because heterosexuals, whether male or female, rule out half the human race for certain activities. And even the gays, bless them, you're supposed to say that because they're wonderful, they too rule out half the human race. It's only bisexuals that are open to all people. But even the dirty, rotten bisexuals discriminate. They discriminate on the basis of lookism, beauty, sense of humor, intelligence, the ordinary things that most people discriminate on the basis of. So this whole thing is dead from the neck up. We have a right to discriminate. Discrimination doesn't hurt, and, well, it doesn't violate rights, and it doesn't even hurt. And here again, I call upon my colleagues, actually they are colleagues, Williams and Soul. I have I'm honored to be a co-author of Walter Williams, and they both have chapters in a book that I edited, so they're sort of buddies of mine. And what they have shown more than anyone else is that discrimination doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt the target. Because if you push down, let's say that the blacks and the whites have the same productivity, let's call it $10. And due to discrimination, the blacks only get $7. Well, now there are profits of $3 to be earned on a black person, and this situation cannot prevail. It's the same analysis that I used for the male-female, because if you have two people, black and white, each producing $10, and one is being paid 10 and the other is being paid 7, it's a no-brainer as to know who you're going to be hiring. So this is harmless. Take another case. During the Jim Crow era in the U.S. in the 1920s, there was a rule that blacks had to ride in the back of a bus. And this was convenient. The question that Solon Williams raised is, well, why didn't somebody else start a bus company? White or black, doesn't matter. They're not concerned with white or black, they're concerned with greed, mainly money. And here is an underserved population, blacks in the South, and they start another bus company. And then all the black people would presumably patronize that bus company, and even white people might go there if there's no white-only bus. Why didn't that happen? Obviously because in order to start a bus company, you needed a permission from the very folks who started the Jim Crow in the first place. So in a free enterprise system, we don't say that discrimination can't hurt now. We say in a free enterprise system it can't hurt because there'll be competition. Competition will take advantage of any exploitation by boosting their wages or serving them better with a bus or whatever it is. And also, there's something else a little bit weird about discrimination. If a store says no Jews allowed, that's illegal. But suppose a Jew won't go to a certain store. That's okay? You see the point? I mean, if discrimination is such an evil, why isn't it evil on the part of customers and on the part of entrepreneurs? But it's only evil on the part of entrepreneurs, which is problematic. Let me see what else I've got here. How am I doing on time? Another 5 minutes? Okay. Reparations. Another issue in the black-white business is reparations for slavery. And here what you have is the lefties and the righties and the libertarians, and we are correct and the lefties and the righties are wrong. You know, I want to draw another diagram. The way the previous speaker, is he still here? They had that, I guess it's not. He had this, what's that thing called, the diagram?
The Nolan chart.
The Nolan chart. He had some sort of Nolan chart sort of term on the side. The usual left-right spectrum is like this, and whenever I take a survey like that, I answer the left, the personal liberties like a lefty, and the economic liberties like a righty, and I come out right in the middle, and I tell you I'm not really a moderate, even though I call myself Walter Moderate Block sometimes. So this is problematic. And it's also problematic because they don't have foreign policy. They just have economics and personal liberties. Foreign policy is pretty important too. And in the picnic, when I talk about Donald Trump, that'll be my main argument in his favor, foreign policy. So I think I come from a Jesuit school now, Loyola. And by the way, if you have a young person of college age, think of enrolling in Loyola because you get to study with me, and all five of my colleagues in the economics department are Austro-libertarians. Plus we have a guy in business ethics who's a libertarian. And if you're in a socialist school, it's not as much fun. So think of enrolling in Loyola. So the way I see it, here's good, and here's bad. It's a little different than the Nolan chart. Good means the non-aggression principle. Bad means violation of the non-aggression principle. And left-right is just, I don't know, sociological stuff like guitars are left-wing and violins are right-wing. A tuxedo is right-wing and hippie garb is left-wing. Anyway, it's irrelevant. The left-right spectrum is still there, but it's irrelevant. The key is how far up and down are you. See, the problem with the left-right thing is that Stalin is a lefty and Hitler is a righty, and yet your views are supposed to be, if you have close views, you're supposed to be close on the chart, and yet they're at opposite ends. So now what we do is we put Stalin here and Hitler here, and we give credence to the left-right, but they're both way down because they're royal bad guys. and we put Ron Paul up there. He's a little rightish, but that's not the essence of him. The essence of him is he's way up there.
Who's on this side, Walter?
I'm sorry?
Who's the good lefty?
They're all good lefties.
Curious.
Mother Teresa. She's a good lefty. I mean, she didn't violate the non-aggression principle, and she did good, and she's certainly a lefty. So there are Mother Teresa, but that's a good question. There are conceivably good lefties. There aren't too many, but what the heck? See, the way I see it is like a triangle. Here is libertarian, here is the right or conservative, and here is the left or socialist, and we're equidistant from them. We're not part of the right. I hate the Federalist Society for that. I hate this fusionism stuff, that we're really just one of the right-wing elements. You know, there's this kind of conservative, that kind of religious conservative, and whatever, and then this libertarian group. We're unique, we're different. We agree with the left on some things with the right, but we're a unique group. Okay, so, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, reparations. The reparations, I'm getting senile here, people in the front row, pretty soon I'll be drooling on you. So back up a little. What's going on with reparations? Well, slavery was an evil. It was an abomination for reasons that I gave. It was coercive. It was the theft of labor. Now look, suppose my grandfather stole this watch from your grandfather, maybe even great-grandfather, and it's got your great-grandfather's initials on it, and maybe even a little picture of him in it. And now you come to me and say, hey, Block, you're not a criminal, but you're holding stolen goods. Your great-grandfather never should have given it to your grandfather, never should have given it to your father, never should have given it to you. Give it to me. Would he be justified? Of course. I mean, part of libertarian punishment theory, the first part is, if I steal your TV, the first thing that has to happen is I have to get the TV back. Now, libertarian punishment theory is a little more draconian than that. I would say I have to give a second TV to you, do unto me what I try to do unto you. And if I immediately came to the police and said, hey, I stole a TV from Rick, and I'm sorry, here it is, well then the third element of libertarian punishment theory doesn't apply, namely the cost of capture. But if I don't do that, you keep hunting for me for 5 years, who's going to pay for that? Me. And the fourth thing is when I stole Rick's TV, I didn't, but hypothetically, I scared him. And what are you going to do? Go like this to me? Win? No, you have to make me play Russian roulette. Where the number of bullets, the number of chambers is in proportion to how badly I scared him. If I came armed with a gun, that's worse than if I just came without a gun. So that's libertarian punishment theory the way I see it. But the first element is you got to return. Well, why should time make any difference? Why should there be any statute of limitations on crime and punishment and compensation? I don't care if it was 2,000 years ago where the Israeli-Palestinian thing, if somebody stole land from somebody, then it should be returned. Now, the burden of proof is on he who wants to change things. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Anyone who wants to change anything, the burden of proof is on him to show that something is untoward. And there is such a thing as a natural statute of limitations, namely, the further back you go in history, the harder it is to prove anything, especially if there's no written language, no evidence of the Indians. It's going to be rough, well, except in Canada, the Indians can own the whole country, but that's a whole other issue. But from a libertarian point of view, it would be very hard. So the right-wingers say, no reparations because reparations are theft. Well, no, they're the return of stolen goods. The left-wingers say, yes, reparations from all blacks, from all whites to all blacks. Well, the problem with that is, a lot of whites came here after slavery was over. A lot of blacks came here after slavery was over. So why should they have any reparations? The libertarian view is, I think, that reparations are justified, but the burden of proof is on whoever wants to change what's going on. So if there's some black guy in Harlem who has some proof that some plantation in South Carolina his grandfather worked on, and there were 500 slaves, see, what should have happened when slavery was over is that the 500 slaves should have divided the 500 acres or the 10,000 acres and get 2 acres each. But they didn't. So he's entitled to 1/5 500th of that plantation would be my view. 2 more minutes. Okay, let's let me wrap up. Let me just summarize. What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing wrong with social science analysis of difficult questions. If we ever want to get to the truth of something, we have to be able to discuss it. Look, you know, in some countries in Europe, and I think in Canada, if you doubt the Holocaust and you go to jail, well, how can we ever get to the truth of anything if one side can go to jail and not the other? Similarly with environmentalism, if you now doubt the global warming story, the hockey stick that they give you, they're now trying to use RICO, the mafia stuff that's supposed to stop the mafia. So I question global warming. I can go to jail for it. Look, in physics, they're having a debate between is reality more like a particle or a wave? I don't know. I have no dog in that fight. I'm not a physicist. I don't know. But I know that neither side tells the other side that if you say what you say, you go to jail or you lose your job. So whatever these guys come up with, it's fine with me. Is Pluto a planet? I don't know. The astronomers are debating, but they're having an open, free debate as to whether Pluto is a planet. And whatever they say, I'll go along with it. But I can't go along with anything that they say in environmentalism because one side is trying to denigrate the other. Nor can I go along with anything officially, although I'm Jewish, I had people, family members die in the Holocaust. But as a scholar, I can't believe anything they say because one side is not allowed to speak. John Stuart Mill said it best. The only way we get to the truth is by having both sides wrestle with each other. Well, in race and sex, it's not illegal yet, but it's going in that direction, and you can risk your job. I have tenure happily, but they can still fire me even with tenure, and I have to sue them. So it's sort of hard in academia to do these things. Thanks for your attention.